My name is Jay Kingsley. I'm Operational Readiness Lead in DEFRA for digital waste tracking. Also on the call, we have Joe Chanter, who's Comms Lead, Jack Miller, our Senior Project Manager, Amelia Inman-Smith, who is our Readiness Lead, Huda Bax, who's Engagement Lead. We have Daniel Callahan, who some of you may have already engaged with. He does our software provider support. We have Alan Hawkins, who's a user researcher, Naveed, who's our product manager, and then Nathaniel Freeman, who is from Environment Agency, who's joined us today. He works on digital waste tracking in the agency. So we'll get started. So first thing that I want to do is just to put a question out there for everyone via a poll. And the question is just, if a customer called you today, how confident would you feel answering any queries on digital waste tracking? So we'll just put that poll up, give you about 30 seconds to answer. It's anonymous, so please be as honest as possible. So we've got about 40 responses in so far. So yeah, slow down a bit. So yeah, I think over half of attendees today would feel somewhat comfortable, which is very reassuring from our perspective. Only 8% would be very uncomfortable. So yeah, I think all in all, I'm reassured by that. I don't know if everyone else is, but I think those are very positive numbers. So yeah, I think we'll do that poll at the end of this session as well, just to gauge that, and we've got another survey. So yeah, I think next we are going to Naveed, who's going to run through a presentation for everyone. Shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, and then we'll have time for any questions anyone has, which we'll answer. So yeah, over to you, Naveed.
Yeah, we had a sweepstakes on how confident we thought everyone was going to be. So I think the optimists of Jake and Joe have won that bet. I think they get some Ferrero Rocher. I can't remember what the stakes of the bet were. It's really, really lovely to meet you all. It's really lovely to have so many people here as well. 10 minutes tops, and we really want to focus on trying to answer as many of your questions as possible. This is very much a discussion about how whilst it's an information session, it's also about how we're going to work together. Just very quickly, whilst I have a title of product manager, I come from a more commercial background and working with organizations like yours, launching new services across the world. So I've got a lot of experience around adoption, and so I'm really, really keen to work with all of you to help you and your customers with what's some really, really exciting policy launch. So clearly, something really significant is happening. October 2026. Around 12,000 permitted waste receiving sites across the UK will be required to submit waste movement data digitally for the first time, and that is a huge shift for the industry. Going away from paper records towards a single national system, and we're at that stage now where we both want and need to make sure that software companies, software vendors, and some of those are internal teams and some of those are companies as well who are external, that you're prepared, you're informed, and that we're working with you, because without you we can't really make this work anywhere near as well, and that's why we're all here today. Please feel free to throw questions into the Q&A as we're going, and we'll get to as many as we possibly can. So I think here's the thing, the team were really, really focused on making this a success and adoption. And the thing we keep coming back to is how are operators going to navigate this change? Because for some of them, it's going to be a really huge change. And let's be honest, they're not going to read government guidance first. They're going to ask you. When they need to understand what's required, they're going to come to you. When they need a compliance solution, they're going to look to the tools that they already use. When they have questions, they're going to call your support team. Now, we don't see that as a burden, and that we think that's a reflection of the trust that you have built with your customers. And it means that you are actually better placed than we are to help them through this transition. And that's why this partnership really, really, really matters. So we're in the beta phase, we're about to be in the beta phase. And so I want to talk about what does that mean being part of that for your business. So the operators who need to comply are going to be making procurement decisions. And frankly, the vendors who are integrated early are in a strong position when those conversations happen. Your customers already know you, and you'll be able to tell them you're ready. Now, beyond that, vendors who are engaged with us now are inside the conversation. You get early site development updates, policy changes, policy explanations, what's coming next, rather than finding out later. And I think you can help shape that conversation. And there's a compliance angle too, because I think the clearer you are on what's required, then you're better placed to advise your customers accurately. And that's just going to build trust. And we know from other government rollouts that this only work, the success of this is going to be critical by us building trust with you and you building trust with those end users. We've been doing a lot of research, and this is just a quote from one of the CEOs I've spoken to when we were talking about, what's the commercial opportunity when there are policy changes. And what they were saying to me is like, the operators who start early will find this straightforward, because inevitably there are going to be teething problems. The ones who wait until legislation day in October won't have that luxury. And they were saying, like, as a company, we're in a position to make sure our customers are in the first group who have worked everything out before legislation day, and not the second who are scrambling around when enforcement starts. So on the practical side, we want to be really clear that we're not asking you to figure this out alone. There is a test environment available now. I know many of the people on here will have signed up and probably poked and prodded that. I think one of my real strong encouragements is, like, really get your hands in, start getting your hands dirty. If you're not talking to your customers already, you can start submitting data now. You can start working that through. And, the earlier we do that, the earlier we can work out the kinks and make sure this is as smooth as possible. And also the potentially the quicker we learn the lessons from you, the more easily we can put resources in to support you and work out what those things are. So that test environment is available now. You don't have to wait until October to start building and testing. You can get hands-on today. Developer support is included. We've got a technical inquiries inbox and a GitHub discussions board, which we'll share at the end. And I want to reiterate the intent, and be really honest here. This has been built for industry to use. It's not just for government to run. We don't want to see a thing where people are doing the bare minimum to get by. This is a genuine transformation for the UK. So if something isn't working for your developers, if something is not working from a commercial point of view, we want to know. We want to understand how we can support you, how we can help you. So in terms of the roadmap, here's where we are and where we're heading. Right now, that test environment is open. Developer support is available, as I said. Encourage you to get stuck in the summer. We're running all the pre-launch tests and with our various beta partners, and so real data submissions have already started, but we're going to see a significant ramp up over the summer. And look, the earlier you're in, the closer to the front of the queue you are to queries being answered. As much as I wish we could answer everyone as quickly as possible, the truth is that our early partners will get priority because we're getting information and data from them earlier, which means we're learning faster, which means the success of our launch is higher, which is again really strong encouragement to kind of get that going. Then October is go live for those 12,000 waste receiving sites, and Jake is going to talk about phase 2, which is planned for autumn 2026, and that'll extend the scope of the service significantly, and especially if you serve carriers, brokers, exemption holders, as well as receiving sites. So that's directly relevant to you. And whilst I'm in government, I do still have a commercial hat somewhere. And so, you know, the opportunity, whilst you've got an early adoption opportunity for receiving sites, the commercial opportunity for all of these other industry segments coming on is, I think, absolutely huge, and I think really exciting for your businesses. So we have got a readiness survey. I believe, Jake, you would have received that, but I'm going to pause for a second if you want to take the QR code. So there are several questions in there, but I think the 3 big ones that we'd really value is, you know, what's your scale? How many of your customers are in those 12,000 affected sites? You know, it genuinely helps us understand where the market is. Second, tell us what you need. You know, what would make this integration easier? What would make supporting your customers easier? How do we make this more straightforward? We want to design the support offer around we don't want to make assumptions. So please tell us what's useful, actually useful. And third, you know, stay in the conversation. The vendors who are engaging with us are going to shape how this develops. That's a genuine offer. You know, everyone in the team wants to engage with you, wants to understand, wants to see this work. Really wants to work with you as a partner. So please do fill in that survey. It takes, Jake, what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, if that?
On average, yes.
On average. That's a great, we'll say 5 to 6, just to hedge our bets. And yeah, that input, you know, we will see that, and it will directly inform what we do next. And when Jake talks about phase 2 and some of the upcoming events, the information we get from here will directly shape that. And then finally, if you haven't already got started, and I haven't said it enough, let's get it going. This is everything you need to get started. So you've got the email. If you need to get in touch, you've got the QR code for the GitHub API, and for the discussions board. We'll leave this up during the Q&A just so you have time to grab what you need. And if you want to have a quick look and maybe if it generates any questions, I'll hand that back over to Jake, just talk about phase 2, and then we'll get into Q&A. Thank you again for your time, and I'm really looking forward to talking to as many of you as I possibly can. Over to you, Jake.
Great, thanks, Naveed. So yeah, as Naveed alluded to in the presentation about phase 2, where we are expanding the service. So as everyone will know about phase 1, we've got public beta coming up in April, and that'll run until October. And then October means it'll be mandatory for waste receivers. It'll be January 2027 for waste receivers in Scotland, so there's going to be a little bit of a gap. And then phase 2 is expanding the service to waste collectors, so that's carriers, brokers, dealers. And again, that is going to be an absolutely monumental change for industry. Phase 1 alone is a huge change, and phase 2 is even bigger. So the scope is expanding rapidly. I mean, we'll be having hundreds of thousands of users in that phase. You know, from small sole traders to huge operators. So it is really important that we'll get on the front foot with this. So from autumn 2026, we're looking to do similar to what we've done with phase one. So we'd have a private beta. So this will be, again, an invited group of waste collectors and their associated software providers to help test the service. And then from spring 2027, we'll have the public beta phase. So again, that'll be available publicly for all waste collectors to submit data. And then from autumn 2027, so the digital waste tracking service will become mandatory for those waste collectors. So we are doing this now to get on the front foot, engaging more proactively with software providers to create a sort of partnership, like Naveed said, working with you, getting feedback regularly, having those feedback loops. So, Daniel and Manesh have been doing a fantastic job in supporting software providers so far. And I think it's just adding on, building on their work that they've done, and making sure that we are available. We are putting a face to a name as well, and we're going to be doing more comms and more proactive comms. But really, the key is that software providers being able to enable their customers to submit the data, and I think that's the key here, from what Naveed had said. But yeah, we've updated the gov.uk page, the main one for digital waste tracking, to have that to include that timeline, so you can have a look at that in your own time.